For associations, one of the biggest challenges is getting your members activated in the public space. But my goodness, when you do it, it's so powerful. I have with me Rich Carter. He's a member of our Cor team here and an expert at grassroots government affairs. Rich, thanks for joining me.
Great to be here, Collin.
We're going to talk about how do you activate your members as an association. We've got some great examples of when this has been done, how massive changes to public policy, even in a blue state like Illinois, can happen. First thing I want to talk about, Rich, is the progressive tax campaign or the fair tax campaign. A lot of press went towards the amount of money that was spent on TV ads on both sides of the aisle, but the untold story of that was this massive group of associations and groups that came together to fight this. How big was this thing, Rich?
It was really big, Collin. We had, I think, by the end, we had close to 50 organizations statewide that were part of our coalition.
And how many businesses and employees did that cover?
So we figured out of the 50 organizations we had, they represented about 35,000 members, which represented over 1 million employees.
You think about the public policy space in a state of Illinois, you can touch 1 million employees. That will make or break any statewide campaign. I mean, these associations sometimes don't realize the influence that they have. What were some of the things that were done during the progressive tax campaign that these organizations were able to successfully utilize to get their members and their members' employees activated in the process?
Oh my goodness, we had so many different things going on. We trained members how to talk to their employees. We put together one-pagers that they could put up in their lunchrooms that basically told the employees everything they needed to know about the progressive tax amendment. We also gave them information on how to vote, which was great because a lot of them had never.
And what you mean by that is how to actually cast a ballot, right? Now, how to vote on the amendment.
And to actually,
get registered.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and I think a lot of these associations don't realize the value that they can drive for their members. This is something where your members will appreciate what you've provided them, and of course, then you've made a bigger impact in the public policy process. I know a lot of the members were appreciative to the associations for getting active here and giving them these materials, giving them the training, signs and literature and trainings and events and all types of things, right?
Yes, and quite frankly, a lot of them that we spoke to, a lot of the employers, they didn't really want to get involved politically in a lot of things, and they didn't quite know how to talk to their employees. And we basically gave them a toolkit that let them do that.
So ultimately, if you're an association, one of your members' questions is going to be, how do I do this in a way that's not going to hurt my relationships with my employees, right? I mean, what's the secret there? How does a member company from one of these organizations get active and get their employees active without creating negative repercussions?
I think just by providing them information. It's all about, you don't want to really advocate one way or another. Politically, everything gets so emotional. I think if you just give them information, they appreciate that. And that's all we did. And
ultimately what we saw is that the more information these employees had, they realized how important that amendment was to their future, to their employer's future, and they ultimately voted the way that the associations would have wanted, right?
Yes, and by breaking it down, we weren't just talking about this was going to be good for their business owner, for their president. What this is going to mean, this is also going to impact, first of all, if they can keep their job. Secondly, if they can get a raise, if they can get more benefits, it impacts them directly. We were able to show them that, and that made the whole difference.
And for budding entrepreneurs, their opportunity to maybe take over that business or start their own business, right? That was another piece that impacted them?
Oh, yes. I mean, it was all out there. And, it made a huge difference to them in the end. And we saw it in the vote. I mean, it was overwhelming. Our side won.
Well, and ultimately, it's again, employees are appreciative that you're giving them these resources, giving them this information. Another way that we were able to help these organizations and these businesses activate their people is through helping them tell their stories. Ultimately, there's a really powerful thing in the public space. You see this in marketing, advertising, politics, all the time now, the power of a story. And so helping the business owners, the employees, the managers, everyone on the team, we really helped them tell their story. And by doing that, they were really motivated to do that because everyone likes talking about themselves. And it made an impact on the space. Talk to me a little bit about that, about what was done and how associations might be able to do that in the future.
Sure. Well, they were just business owners, from these associations. That they knew were passionate about this issue and the way it would impact their business. And so we reached out to them. We had a professional videographer who came out and basically filmed them. And the videos that we took just got amazing play. all over social media and even picked up by some media.
And we had a writer as well who did the written story as well, right?
Yes,
and so you had
written and video.
So you had two options. What's one of the best ways that you can really get your members activated, because it's dual purpose. They get a chance to tell their story, to talk about their business, or their employees might get a chance to talk about how they've grown up in this business. It's given them all these opportunities, and you can still fit in there. And if you do X in the public space, it might hurt our chances at doing this in the future. So you're helping the business, you're helping the employees, and you're fighting either for or against some sort of public policy. It's a win all across the board, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, end of the day, the employees were happy, the employers were happy, and of course their associations were happy.
Yeah, well, everyone loves winning, right? Another way to get your members activated in the public process is through op-eds, letters to the editor. There's a lot of these media contacts are contacts of ours that we work with, and they're just struggling for content. And so they really appreciate it when a business owner or a teacher or a local laborer or a working family or someone gives them an opinion on something and puts their name to it. We've seen a lot of play with that. How is that something that you've seen success in that associations might be able to take advantage of?
Sure. I mean, we have contacts all over the state. And like you said, newspapers, they're dying for content. They have news holes to fill every day. And every time we submit something to them, I don't think we've ever been turned away.
So in this process, over the years that we've been working with associations and businesses and such, we've seen hundreds if not thousands of these pieces have been placed, which again, it's a dual benefit. The individual who put it in gets excited. They were in the newspaper. That's a cool thing for them. And obviously you've had a chance to put your information out into the public space, right? So it's again, another situation where your members are not only not unhappy, they're happy. They're grateful that you gave the opportunity.
Totally. And actually the editorial page editors are quite happy too.
Yeah.
We're giving them content.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing we've seen work really well. One of our clients does this amazingly well. They've been doing it for years. Is a scorecard where what they'll do is they'll pay attention to what's happening in Springfield or in DC, and they'll pick a number of votes, and they'll identify how legislators voted for or against their issues and give them a score as a result. And the members love this because it gives them a chance to identify which of these lawmakers are with them on their issues and which of their lawmakers are not. Tell me a little bit about how that is done and what benefit that provides for associations and their members.
Certainly. Well, we have staff that works, they go through the bills every year. At the end of the year, they pick out the ones that were most important for the members of the association, and they basically compare the votes of every legislator, both Senate and House, how they voted, and then they determine of those, they pick, whether it's 80, 90%, generally they pick a level and provide awards to those legislators that scored above that level.
And this is a great tool because it not only helps people, because we all get this all the time. I'm going to vote and I don't know who to vote for. It gives you a tool to say, all right, my issues are manufacturing or business or farm issues or agriculture, whatever it might be. You now have something that's a resource that says, okay, I know who's with me, who's not with me. I mean, that's invaluable to an association and its members, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, the members, they're so impacted by legislation, and they need to know who their friends are and who are not.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, it's a way these members can communicate with their employees, where they're not saying, hey, go vote for so-and-so, go vote against so-and-so, because that gets sticky, right? That causes problems. But you just say, hey, listen, the issues that matter to us are blank, and here are the lawmakers that are with us, and here are the lawmakers that are not. You make your own decisions. More often than not, again, the employee is going to look at that as something that they're going to take into account when they vote.
And again, it's not about telling them who to vote for, it's about providing them information. It's about educating them and empowering them to make the decision on their own.
Yeah. Another one of our clients, I know something that you work with them on, is providing information on a weekly basis for an e-newsletter that they do, where it says, hey, here's something you can do this week to make a difference. It's all across the map. Every week it's something different, but it's a way to stay regularly in front of their members to say, hey, you want to be part of the process, here's something you can do. And sometimes you get limited engagement, sometimes you get a ton of engagement, just depends on what it is. Tell me a little bit about that.
Certainly, yeah, we do all kinds of stuff. We inform them. Sometimes we send them news stories about issues important to them. Sometimes we invite them to briefings that we're holding with legislators. Just this last week, there was some legislation that came up that was very important to this association's members. And it was actually in front of a committee, and they were able to do something called fill out witness slips, which lets them go online and tell the legislators how they feel about an issue. And we've seen amazing success with the witness slips. I mean, we've had so much participation that it's actually people in Springfield and Illinois are starting to pay attention to what this organization is doing.
And it's just the power of putting this information out in front of members who then they engage, but they also will put it in front of their employees. Everyone gets involved, and it's a great way for everyone to have some sort of impact on the process.
Exactly.
And I know, one of the things we hear a lot is when I'm working in politics, when you're working in gov affairs, people that are new to that go, oh man, I don't want to ask them for anything. And what we find so often is the people who are being asked are so grateful. They love their home state, they love their home community, they want to make a difference, they just don't know how. And so something for these associations to think about is that these member companies, they're busy, they're trying to run their small business, their medium-sized business. They don't have the time to think of, like, what should I be doing next? And so if you simply empower them with, hey, this is the hot thing right now, do something on this, it'll take you 5 minutes, they'll jump on it, and they're incredibly grateful for it, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And the key is making it really simple for them, Like we said, click here, fill out your witness slip, you're done. It takes 2 minutes total. And when we do have briefings, we keep them to a half an hour, and we always do them early in the morning so that the members can get on, be done with it, get the information, and then go off and do their work during the day.
Another thing we've seen success on, you just mentioned it, is events, different types of events, connecting with legislators, roundtables, talking about issues, even social events, just ways to get people engaged. You bring some people in the room, maybe have a booth, even if it's a social event, to say, hey, here's some stuff going on, do you want to get active? Events are a common but effective way to help these members get engaged in the process, and sometimes even taking it on the road and doing it in their businesses and engaging their employees, right?
Yes. Yeah, events are great,
Yeah, we've seen a lot of success on that. All right, anything else? I know engaging in the election process is something we've seen a ton of success on, but we're not in an election season now, so we're actually going to talk about that in a future video. So we've seen a lot of success with that, but we're going to save that for another video. Other than that, anything else that you've seen be really successful in this space that might be good advice for an association on how they could engage their members?
I think it's all about just building a relationship with your legislators and making it comfortable for your members, because a lot of times they just either don't have the time or they're really worried about how their employers are going to react. And the best thing, I think, is just to make them feel comfortable, provide information. We don't force things on them. And it's been really successful, and I think it's a win-win for everyone.
What I've seen, we've done this training sometimes with members, because they'll have that question, what can I do, what can't I do? And there's a simple thing of, hey, let's have a training for them to teach them what they can do, what they can't do. Maybe even give them a one-pager. Here are the do's, here are the don'ts. Equip them so they feel more comfortable, that they'll be safe to engage in this space without necessarily creating problems for themselves in the back end, because we're in a hyper-politicized environment right now. It's a scary environment for employers.
Yeah, and it's a relief to them too when we give them that training, because they want to get involved, but they're so fearful of turning their employees off. And I think when we give them the do's and the don'ts, this is what you can do, this is where we've had success elsewhere, it really makes them feel comfortable and confident.
And are also afraid of just public backlash. Let's face it, the Twitter brigade is out there ready to go. And so they're nervous about that as well. Well, thank you for watching. Cor is going to continue to provide information on how you as an association can more actively engage your employees. We saw it in Illinois, the tremendous success we can see when we do this, but that's been a couple years now. And so we'd love to see what that next huge success is, because if the business community, the manufacturing community, the farming community, the retail community, there is massive power in a lot of these associations, the construction trade unions. There's so much power there on how you could impact the political process. Your voice needs to be heard, and right now it's not really being heard. So we'd love to see that happen more often. Rich, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Collin.